Photography can be an oddly meditative passion. The moments you stand behind the camera, no matter as a hobbyist, photojournalist, fine art photographer, event photographer, your role is to become the passive observer rather than an active partaker of an event. Yes, photojournalistic pieces have changed history, and the impacts of some photographs produced in the last century can still be remembered and felt by us today. But even then, that's a very small portion of photographs that are used to rally up the masses and create public outrage. This doesn't change the fact that at the moment of you clicking the shutter, your photos preserve a moment where you were invisible, where you were the eye, not the mouth, of a historical moment that you can never revisit again. Someone who was very good at this is Pablo Bartholomew, who is a photojournalist, but he never really liked photojournalism. I went into reportage as a need to find work and recognition, he told the Indian Express, but at no point did I feel that I was there to be a crusader of truth. There are many truths, and media plays many kinds of role in it, and I am so frustrated with the media, because I am not sure it is a vehicle of change it could be. For instance, I am known for this one image from Bhopal, and in a way, it is a responsibility I don't want to have, because the gap between what the image represents and what actually happened to the people makes me feel very sad. But this cynicism and skepticism is precisely why some of Bartholomew's best journalistic works documenting change in New Delhi are characterized by the personal nature of what he captures. We, as the audience of his work, journey with him into the deeply private aspects of his life, meeting his friends and family in a time of change in India, where young teenagers were influenced by the influx of hippies and an era that brought Western music, mirth, and drugs. In his private life, there is no noble cause behind what he does. There is no social responsibility, and the only layer of deeper meaning behind his photographs is the history, the story, and the emotions that the surface conceals. But Bartholomew's work is still journalism in nature. The camera is less biased and takes upon a more objective point of view, illustrating the truth behind each and every aspect of his life, which in turn reflects upon society. Take his piece Know Me Dancing at a Party at Coco's as an example. The personal aspect of this image is made apparent through the clustered background, where seemingly a living room area has been converted into a dance floor where people are currently enjoying themselves. The bookshelf and chair have been partially cut out of the frame, which shows an unintentional disinterest in anything that's not the dance floor. Furthermore, the fact that the tables and chairs have been pushed aside shows change, pushing the old lifestyle aside to welcome in the new, a rather temporary gesture and arrangement in a household, which is now paradoxically timeless, immortalized by Bartholomew's camera. The chaotic positioning of people on a dance floor also show constant change, no sign of consideration in who is positioned in the foreground or the background. In fact, there's so much movement in this one frame that we can practically see the next second after this photo has been taken. People are merging into people with a strong contrast in the photo. People are coming out of people from the shadow into the light. All of this is captured with a wide angle, with a deep depth of field, finishing off the photo with all the truth possible. No detail concealed in the vision. Everything is clear and in focus. The brutally truthful nature of his photographs also somehow ignite a feeling of perversion within us when we look into a part of his life so private that we feel uncomfortable staying, but meanwhile, we try to take in all the information possible. Take Nomi and Bina, for example. This time there is more of a shallow depth of field, and the picture is framed relatively tightly with the faces in the top and bottom thirds, and girl one's body stretching across almost the entire frame. We, as the audience, are positioned much closer to the subjects, almost standing right over girl 2 down on the bottom. The shallow depth of field even blurs out the entire background so that we, the viewer, cannot make out anything. Our vision, following the whites and the highlights of this photo, is initially led to the two subjects who do not make eye contact with us, and thus do not give us permission for our presence, which intrudes upon their private life. And once we dart our attention away from them, there's nothing else to see, forcing us to look back again. But the more we stay, the more the photograph seems to tell and begin to generate questions we wish to have answered, even though it's not our business. Why is the girl so tired she's asleep? Why is girl 2 here still awake? What's troubling her? Is it the fear of change? The enigmatic and mysterious facial expressions aren't just present in that one photo. There's Aisha, Amita, even Bartholomew's lover Pooh, who all demonstrate a facial expression indecipherable to the viewer. Is it pain? Is it stress and worries? No matter what the cause is, why? Pooh's photograph in light tones is almost in direct contrast with Aisha's, for example. Aisha's face, slightly tilted, unconcerned by the candid camera, stares straight ahead, with half of her face obscured by the shadows, with a cigarette lit. We now stand in the dark with Aisha. Back to Pooh, we travel with Bartholomew into the most private room of a house occupied by his lover. Without studying her facial expression for now, the setting is softly but entirely lit, purely white, surrounding her entire figure. According to the caption, this is back at home in the bedrooms, the most relaxing and yet exciting room of a house. But then, once you look at Pooh's eyes, the entire mood changes. Her mysterious and indecipherable facial expression shows a concern with something beyond the present moment. And this obviously affects more than just one person, because no matter how different the people and the surrounding are, there seems to be a concern that reaches beyond the frozen moment. This is change happening. The change juxtaposes with, yet paradoxically remains in coexistence with, the carefree and hippie vibe. Could the confusion and emotions represented here also represent the confusion of people facing change in society back then? But that's not it. Change doesn't have to be portrayed through change. Change can be portrayed through constants, the complete opposite of change. This is irony. Pablo and Pooh kissing, more intimate moments captured by the candid camera of Bartholomew. Though a timeless display of love we are all too familiar with, at the same time they make us feel uncomfortable watching, creating internal conflict within us. These photos don't merely represent change in society, it also initiates changing feelings within us and our perception of love temporarily. In Pablo and Pooh, the eternal and immortal feelings of love is now tainted with discomfort, for example. We are so close to the subjects that we can practically make out the texture of the tongue and count every strand of Pablo's beard. This is a weird perspective for us, the viewers, because realistically, we are never this close to other people kissing to make out all these details, greatly intruding upon their privacy. But the two don't seem to mind. They're so lost in the moment. By this time, another interesting thing happens, which is we, the viewers, spend more time looking at the photo than the events within the photo would take to unfold. This emphasizes the smallness and thus stillness of the moment. The photo captures that initial contact between a pair of lovers, tips of their tongues just barely touching, a hanging, delicate moment, milliseconds before the two galaxies begin to collide. The frame crops out everything irrelevant, including us, the viewers, leaving just love and intimacy, constants of humanity, captured in a photograph, detached from all the change happening in this collection. And yet, you can't help but think about what's changing around them. This is photojournalism at its finest, married with voyeurism. Hey guys, if you made it this far in the video, first of all, thank you so much for watching, and second of all, please do consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, because for me, it's really not about the numbers, and more so that I can understand what I'm doing well and what I can improve in. So if you do leave a like or comment, then that's the best way for me to understand what I need to improve in. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.